Hello and welcome to Standard Voice Television Global News today, 13th May 2026, equivalent to Islamic calendar 26th day of Zulqa'dah 1447 after Hijrah. I am Hamida Muhammad Idris in the headlines. For government to expand $11.6 billion on debt servicing in 2026. For government to reject UNICEF's 15 million out-of-school children figure. Troops kill scores of terrorists in renewed offensive in northern region. On the international scene, Allied Democratic Forces kill 50 civilians in attacks in eastern Congo. And a sports update, Nigeria to host 2026 Skype Awards and 48th Ordinary General Assembly. These are more news to be coming to you in the bulletin. Thank you for joining, and now the news in details. For government to spend $11.6 billion on debt servicing in 2026, which is half of the projected revenue for this year. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu disclosed this during the Africa Forward Summit in Nairobi, Kenya. Explained that the global financial architecture is largely skewed against Africa, leaving the continent at the receiving end of development. Special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, in a statement quoted Tinubu saying that Nigeria will spend about $11.6 billion in debt servicing in 2026. He also noted that Africa's persistent exports of raw materials and importation of finished goods at premium prices is the direct consequence of an international system structured against the continent's industrial development. The Nigerian leader also stressed that Nigeria had undertaken painful but necessary economic reforms through sovereign decisions rather than external impositions. Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU Kaduna State University KASU chapter has threatened strike action if certain demands are not made by the end of May 2026. A member of the media committee for ASU, Usman Sadiq, in an interview said many of their demands have not been fulfilled since the last negotiation with the government. He cited that the non-implementation of the 2009 agreement the union reached with the federal government is yet to be implemented by the state government. Sadiq also added that another area of concern is the non-implementation of promotion arrears, seeing many lecturers who were promoted have not received the corresponding salary increment for their new level. According to him, the current situation where the university cannot operate except it seeks clearance from an authorized body is slowing down and rendering the university ineffective. In another development, the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU has accused the federal and state government of the extortion and non-implementation of the December 2025 FGN SANU ASU agreement. ASU President Christopher Pruana made the opposition known at a press conference after the union's National Executive Council NEC meeting held in Yola, Adamawa State, protesting that many other issues were under-resolved and still remains unresolved to date. He highlighted the lingering issues to include arrears of the 25 to 35% salary award, arrears of promotion, remittances of third-party deductions, check of dues, cooperative society deductions, pension contributions, among others. Salary shortfalls arising from IP's application and the withheld 3.5 months salaries occasioned by the 2022 industrial action of ASU. Fiona also lamented that the federal state governments are owing ASU members worth 5.2 billion naira outstanding arrears, warning that the nonchalant attitude of the government could force fresh industrial action if nothing is done to address the pending issues as agreed. Nigeria's number of out-of-school children is less than 15 to 18 billion, estimate often cited by United Nations Children's Fund (UNICEF). The Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, disclosed this during an interview on Politics Today on Channels Television, explaining that the federal government is conducting a nationwide mapping exercise to identify the actual number of out-of-school children. He also added that the ministry had already reintegrated over 1 billion children into schools within the last 13 months through ongoing interventions. According to the minister, the government mapping exercise involves physically tracking and identifying children at the community level to determine accurate enrollment figures across states. Alausa cited Kaduna State as an example, said while earlier estimate placed the number of out-of-school children at about 1.8 million. The ongoing verification process indicates the figure is closer to 700,000. He, however, added that similar exercises in other states, including Akwa Ibom, suggest significantly lower numbers than previous reported. So on education, Nigerian Union of Teachers (NUT) has strongly opposed the federal government decision to exempt candidates seeking admission into the Nigeria Certificate in Education (NCE) program from writing the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination (UTME). NUT National President Audu Amba made the union's position known in a statement at a sensitization workshop for teachers organized by 21st Century in collaboration with the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria (TRCN) in Abuja. He also lamented the declining quality of candidates seeking admission into colleges of education, warning that the policy could further weaken standards in the teaching profession. In her keynote address, the registrar of TRCN, Ronke Soyombo, underscored the urgent need to prepare teachers for the demands of rapidly evolving digital economy. She maintained that the future of Nigeria's education system depends on teachers. Also, the Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, who was represented by Iyabo Ali, advocated for sustained capacity building for teachers, emphasizing that educators must continuously upgrade their digital and innovative skills to meet global education standards. Hantavirus is an infectious disease caused by a group of viruses mainly carried by rodents such as rats and mice. The disease affects humans when they come into contact with infected rodent urine, saliva, or droppings, although the infection is rare. It can become life-threatening if not treated early. Standard Voice television correspondent Charity Taylor compiled this special report.
After the outbreak of the deadly hantavirus on the cruise ship HANTAVIRUS, 4 German passengers are to be taken from Frankfurt am Main to Berlin, Baden-Württemberg, Bavaria, and Saxony. The World Health Organization (WHO) named some countries that have confirmed or probable cases of nationals infected by a hantavirus after the outbreak on the cruise ship MV HANTAVIRUS. According to the WHO, the UN health body and certain national health authorities, among living patients, 6 cases have been confirmed and a 7th is listed as probable. The WHO said in addition, 3 people have died, with 2 of those confirmed as having hantavirus and 1 probable case. Other suspected cases and potential close contacts of infected people are being investigated, according to health authorities. It added that in Netherlands, 2 Dutch people from the ship died from the virus and a 3rd have been confirmed to have contracted it. A Dutch couple who had traveled around South America before boarding the ship in Ushuaia, Argentina on April 1st were the first fatalities. The World Health Agency said in Britain, 2 nationals have been confirmed as infected and 1 is classed as a probable case. Added that a German woman who had a fever on April 28 and later developed pneumonia died on May 2nd on board in the ship. Also in Switzerland, a Swiss man disembarked from the HANTAVIRUS in St. Helena on April 22nd and flew to Switzerland on April 27th via South Africa and Qatar, among many others. The major cause of hantavirus infection is exposure to rodents or environment contaminated by rodents. People may become infected when they inhale dust contaminated with rodent waste, touch contaminated surfaces, and then touch their mouth or nose, or through rodent bites. Poor sanitation and unhealthy living environment increase the risk of spreading the virus. Symptoms of hantavirus usually begins with fever, headache, fatigue, dizziness, muscle pain, nausea, vomiting, and abdominal discomfort. As the disease progresses, severe symptoms such as coughing, chest pain, difficulty breathing, and kidney problems may develop. In serious cases, the lungs may be filled with fluid, making breathing very difficult. Currently, there is no specific cure or vaccine for hantavirus infection. Treatment mainly involves supportive medication care to help patients recover. Victims are usually placed under close medical observation and may receive oxygen therapy, intravenous fluids, and intensive care support to manage breathing difficulties and other complications. Early diagnosis and treatment greatly improve survival chances. Hantavirus remains a dangerous disease that requires proper awareness and preventive actions. Maintaining good hygiene, controlling rodent populations, and seeking early medical attention when symptoms appear are essential steps in reducing the spread and impact of the disease. I am Charity Taylor, reporting for Standard Voice Television.
Thank you, Charity. With that report, and now the news continues. The Pharmaceutical Pharmacy Council of Nigeria, PCN, has sold 1,550 pharmacies, patent medicine shops, and illegal medicine outlets across Nasarawa, Kaduna, and Kano State of Nigeria. The latest crackdown comes amid mounting concerns over the proliferation of unregistered medicine outlets, self-medication, and the circulation of counterfeit drugs in Nigeria, a challenge health experts say continues to undermine healthcare delivery and contribute to avoidable deaths. According to the council, Kaduna recorded 595 sold premises. Kano accounted 821 seed outlets, while 131 premises were shut in Nasarawa State. The PCN said the enforcement exercise targeted pharmacies and patent medicine shops operating in violation of regulatory standards, including illegal premises run by unqualified persons. Similarly, in Kano State, the council inspected 1,140 premises between April 17 and 30, including 114 pharmacies, 869 patent medicine shops, and 116 illegal medicine shops across the state. The news is coming to you on Standard Voice Television. Still to come in the news, troops kill scores of terrorists in renewed offensive in northern region. On the international scene, Allied Democratic Forces kills 50 civilians in attacks in eastern Congo. On a sports update, Nigeria to host 2026 CAF Awards and 48th Ordinary General Assembly. This some more news will be coming to you after the short break. To stand by. Welcome back from that short break, and now the news continues. Military has killed over 200 terrorists in a renewed offensive across the northeast and northwest Nigeria, and also recovered firearms, communication gadgets, food, and bombs. The Commander Sector 2 Operation Hadinke Brigadier General B.D. Martins in a news conference in Damaturu, Yobe State, said in the northeast troops killed over 250 Boko Haram and ISWAP fighters during sustained clearance operations in Yobe and parts of Borno State. He also added that troops carried out coordinated offensive in terrorist enclaves within the Tumbuktu Triangle, including Buk, Tileria, Kafa, Abagajiri, and Maisani. In same vein, the Media Information Officer of Joint Task Force Operation Fansanyamba, Lieutenant Colonel Aliyu Danjai, in a statement said the Northwest troops killed over 70 terrorists during coordinated air and ground operations in terrorists during Shinkafi local government area of Zamfara State. He, however, added that the operation targeted a gathering of terrorist leaders and commanders in Tumfa village. And Abuja High Court has begun a trial within trial in the ongoing persecution of 6 persons accused of plotting to overthrow the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu by calling the first witness to defend the voluntariness of extrajudicial statement made by the defendants. The trial within trial is at determining whether statements allegedly made by the defendant to military investigators were obtained voluntarily or under duress, coercion, torture, or inducement as alleged by the defense. The presiding judge, Justice Abdul Malik, on Tuesday warned parties to restrict themselves strictly to issues relating to voluntariness of the statement and avoid delving into substantive matters already pending in the main trial. The prosecution, led by the Director of Public Prosecution of the Federation, DPPF, Rotimi Oyedepo, informed the court that it had 3 witnesses to testify during the trial within trial. After the testimony of the witness, the court adjourned the matter till today, May 13, 2026, for continuation of the trial within trial. The government has ordered universities and other tertiary institutions to temporarily suspend students who repeatedly test positive for drugs as part of new measures aimed at tackling substance abuse in schools. The directive is contained in the National Implementation Guidelines Against Drugs and Substance Use in Schools in Nigeria Tertiary Institutions, which outlines procedures for mandatory drug testing, counseling, treatment, and rehabilitation for students. Under the guidelines, students who test positive after undergoing 3 tag stages of drug screening and intervention could be removed from the school environment pending rehabilitation. The federal government also ordered the tertiary institutions to conduct mandatory drugs integrity tests for newly admitted students in collaboration with approved health facilities. According to the documents, the objective is to identify students who may require help while promoting safer and healthier learning environment across campuses in Nigeria. Stakeholders in the agriculture sector have blamed the nation's worsening food crisis on insecurity for implementation of government policies and inadequate infrastructure. They made the assertion at the 2026 Nigerian British Chamber of Commerce, Agriculture and Agro-Allied Summit in Lagos State, noting that persistent attacks on farmers, weakened monitoring of intervention funds and poor policy execution are undermining food production across Nigeria. Group Managing Director of Extra Large Farms and Resorts, Moji David, lamented the insecurity has discouraged many farmers from returning to their farms, thereby reducing food production capacity. Also, a consultant to the Ogun State Governor on Agriculture and Managing Director of Bam Farms Limited, Wale Oyekoya, described insecurity as a major obstacle to food production, noting that many farmers in crisis-prone areas have stopped farming due to repeated attacks and kidnappings. On his part, manager, agribusiness and non-oil export at Union Bank, Utomi Uzingwe, blamed politics and weak accountability for the poor performance of intervention programs in the sector. Moving to the foreign scene, about 50 civilians have been killed in a series of attacks attributed to Allied Democratic Forces (ADF) rebels in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo (DRC). According to local media reports, the attacks occurred mainly in North Kivu and Ituri provinces, where ADF fighters carried out raids, kidnappings, looting, and arsons in several localities. Local civil society groups said that since Sunday, ADF fighters attacked the villages of Makomo and Mambu In Mombasa, terrorists in Ituri province killing at least 15 civilians and burning houses. Many residents were also reported missing in the aftermath. Civil society representatives cited by Radio Okapi, a United Nations-backed outlet in Congo, confirmed that over 20 villages in Mombasa territory have been targeted by ADF attacks since March, with over 130 people killed during the period. In another development, President Donald Trump has declared that U.S. will defeat Iran peacefully or otherwise. He disclosed this while responding to reporters who asked whether he thinks Chinese President Xi Jinping, whom he will meet later this week in China, will be able to help beat Iran. Finally, to the sport, and same President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved Nigeria's bid towards the 2026 Confederation of African Football Award, as well as the 48th CAF Ordinary General Assembly. The Nigerian Football Federation, NFF, in a statement disclosed that the approval came during the ongoing Africa Forward Summit in Nairobi, Kenya, following a meeting between President Tinubu and CAF President, Minister of Foreign Affairs Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu, NFF President Ibrahim Gusau, former NFF President and Special Advisor to the CAF President Amaju Piniki, as well as CAF Acting General Secretary Samson Adamu, were all present at the meeting. The NFF also confirmed that the 48th CAF Ordinary General Assembly would take place in October this year, 2026, bringing together top football administrators from across the continent. The CAF Award ceremony remains African football's flagship event, celebrating the continent's top performers in an atmosphere of glitz, glamour, and prestige. Finally, on the news, the top stories again. For government to expand $11.6 billion on debt servicing in 2026. For government rejecting UNICEF's 15 million out-of-school children figure. Troops kill scores of terrorists in renewed offensive in northern region. On the international scene, Allied Democratic Forces kill 50 civilians in attacks in eastern Congo. And a sports update, Nigeria to host 2026 CAF Awards and 48th Ordinary General Assembly. That's it on Standard Voice Television Global News for today. On behalf of the production crew led by Ilya Adamu Auta, I am Hamida Muhammad Idris. Thanking you for investing your time and staying with the news.